This is the table setup for the alignment workshop. What you'll need for this workshop is the long track, an object ball, a cue ball, and the floor track. Notice the floor track is directly in line with the long track on the table. This is basically a continuation of the shot line from the table to the floor. Also see that the one ball is directly in line with the cue ball into the top left-hand corner pocket. This table setup is for a left-handed player from the bottom right-hand corner diagonally up to the top left-hand corner. This is so that the front foot will have clearance when they get down on the shot. Now, if you're a right-handed player, you're going to want to set the same thing up on the table, except you'll start from the bottom left-hand corner and go diagonally into the top right-hand corner. See that the one ball is on the number 5 position on the long track, and that the cue ball is on the number 3 position directly in front of the 2 shaft guides in the ghost ball spot. Notice that it's been transparent taped down so that it won't move during the workshop. This is the table setup for the alignment workshop. The purpose of this workshop is to find out your personal placement of your back foot on the floor track. Notice the continuation of the long track onto the floor track. This is actually the shot line, and the shot line now is continued onto the floor. What we're trying to accomplish every time we get into the shooting position is we want your cue stick to be in the middle of the shot line, or what we call the dead center line, from the tip all the way back to the butt of the cue. And unfortunately, when you do this workshop, some of us are going to find our butt of the cue off a little bit to the left or off a little bit to the right. And what I want to do is go through some scenarios on how to correct this problem if you find you're in that situation. So when you first shoot this shot, what I want you to do is pretend there's no rug on the floor and there's no track on the table. And I just want you to get behind this shot, this one ball shot, into the corner pocket like you normally would if you were shooting this shot every day at the pool room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get behind the shot like I normally would, do some air strokes, and then come down on the shot, and then line it up, take a couple practice strokes. Use the 2 front shaft guides for helping you align the tip of your cue. Take a couple practice strokes, and then freeze. Freeze close to the cue ball, but not touching the cue ball with your tip. And then just simply drop the butt of the cue down. And then with your front hand, hold the cue tip between the 2 shaft guides, and your back hand, hold it against the table so the cue does not move. And then just come up and look down at the long track to see where the butt of your cue is at in correlation to the track. And if you look here, I'm over to the left. So to fix this problem, I have to move my back foot to my right. And what I'm going to do is get down in the shooting position, move my back foot to the right so that you can see how the butt of the cue moves with the back foot. So here's the shooting position, and I'm going to move the back foot to the right, and the butt of the cue goes with it. That's the change that you're going to have to make with your feet when you find the butt of the cue off to the left of the shot line. You're going to have to move it to the right. Now, when you're first moving it, move it a couple inches or an inch and see how the butt of the cue moves, okay? I'm going to move it over about 2 inches. I was here, and I'm going to move it about 2 inches to about right there. And now I'm going to recreate that whole process again. Get down on the shot, use the 2 front shaft guides, take a couple practice strokes, and then freeze close to the cue ball, drop the butt of the cue, hold the front of the cue between the 2 shaft guides with your front hand, and then hold the back of the cue where it's at with your back hand, and just look up. And I'm still off just a little bit to the left. Not much, because that's where I'm at, and that's pretty close to where I need to be, right there. Okay, so to make that adjustment, I'm just going to move my foot just a little bit, right about there. Now this is my spot, so I know this is going to be the right spot. So do a couple practice strokes, come down, do a couple more practice strokes, and then freeze close to the cue ball with your shaft between the two shaft guides. Drop the butt of the cue down, hold it with the front hand, and then look at the shot, look at the cue stick. To me, that is spot on. That's perfect. So now I know that that's my spot. So what I want you to do, once you go through this process, let's say 4 or 5 times in a row, and you drop the butt of the cue down and you're on the dead center line every single time, snap a picture of where your foot's at, because that's where I want your foot to be when you're going through all the groups of shots in the striking line aiming process when I have you shoot the other groups of shots. So let's do one more quick scenario. Let's say the foot is to the right of the shot line. And let's get down on the shot and drop the butt of the cue. And of course, we're going to be to the right of the dead center line. So now we're going to have to move this foot to the left. So in conclusion, whatever direction the butt of the cue is off, you have to move your back foot the opposite direction. So that concludes the alignment workshop. You'll come back to this alignment workshop just to check yourself throughout this process in the next 4 to 5 months. And it's real easy to set up. It only takes a couple seconds to check. Even if you get into a little slump in your game, check your alignment first, because that's the foundation that you build everything else off of.